It was all captured on video. The incident yesterday where a hawker selling masks alikula risasi. It was all captured on video. Indeed, Bwana Boniface Mwangi, the hawker, is admitted at Kenyatta National Hospital, and we are told he has undergone an operation but is still in critical condition because he's still in the ICU. But even more instructive is the report the Kenyatta National Hospital are giving us, because they have revealed that they received a total of 16 patients. Some of them had injuries inflicted by blunt instrument, and others had risasi wounds. Actually, the majority had wounds inflicted by a bullet. How now? How can this happen in our country? And this comes at a time when we have not even resolved the very unfortunate case of Albert Ojwang. Then this happens. Peaceful demonstrators, they are not armed. And then the police do this. They clamp down with violence. They clamp down using deadly weapons. How can this happen? On my show today, I want us to better understand what is going on here. Because you know, some people think that this is a blunder by somebody. Some people think that these things are happening accidentally. Especially when you step back and you try and put yourself in the shoes of this government. For any level-headed person, you're still handling the very explosive Albert Ojwang issues. Don't you think that one would want to tread very carefully? But no! This government came out, and the results we are now seeing. Some people think that there must have been a mix-up somewhere. Okay? Now I want to give you evidence to completely eliminate that thought. I know what I'm saying sounds crazy, but a lot of things that this Kenya Kwanza UDA government is doing are crazy right from the beginning. Overtaxing Kenyans, does that make sense to you? And continuing to tax them further, milking a very thin cow that is almost falling down dead. You're still milking it. Does that make sense to you? So this government has been consistent in one thing, doing things that don't make sense. Okay? Now here's the evidence. Do you know the bunduki that was used on Boniface Mwangi the hawker? It is not anything like what the police usually use. Indeed, you can never find such a weapon in any government armory. Never ever. An expert in these matters tells me it was a shotgun. Those things used for hunting. Normally. Now, why is this important? I'll tell you. In case this thing reaches court, you will need something called evidence. And indeed the two officers involved, Abwana Masinde Barasa and Duncan Kiprono, based at the Kileleshwa police station, have been arrested and are due to be arraigned any time. Usually very key evidence in this kind of case is that you get the risasi and you match it with the weapon from which it was fired. Now, here you have a bunduki that the police does not even have. Okay, that's number one. And then secondly, how then will you be able to match the bullet with the weapon it came from? Bottom line, it is a loophole that in case something happens, there is a very high possibility that the case may not go far. Because to prosecute somebody, you need solid evidence, especially for something as serious as this. The threshold is usually a little higher. I'm sure you get my meaning. Now what this means is that somebody was doing mischief. Somebody was doing this deliberately, while protecting themselves, while minimizing the risks in case some consequences threaten. I'm sure you're getting what I'm saying. Piece of evidence number 2, and I keep repeating this on this channel, but I guess it is very difficult to grasp if you've never worked for the police, or if you've never been close to the police, like the son of a cop. I guess it is very difficult to grasp. But let me repeat it. There is no police officer who will do something without orders, especially something as sensitive as using their weapon. Never ever. They will not do it without an order from above. A cop in a demonstration on the streets, and they know the law, they will never do something like that without an order. And therefore, there was nothing accidental about this. This was planned well in advance. And now we're being treated to a show that the police are moving with speed to prosecute the officers involved. Now hold on a minute. This is only one case. These 2 officers are involved in only one case. But Kenyatta National Hospital tells us that they have close to a dozen other cases of people injured, people affected by risasi. I want to ask a simple question. If the police are serious, if the government is serious, why are they not investigating those other cases of those Kenyans who have landed at the Kenyatta National Hospital, and some of them are still fighting for their lives? Why have they not investigated? I think the answer is obvious. Admittedly, very difficult to believe, but we are following the evidence. We are not following logic and common sense. We are following the evidence in front of us, which is very clear, very obvious, despite the fact that the government and the police are shooting themselves in the foot. Why? Because after what happened in the demonstrations yesterday, it is now that much more difficult to believe that Albert Ojwang was worked on by other people in the cell, civilians in the cell, people waiting to be taken to court. We are being fed a story that those are the people who inflicted those injuries on the late Albert Ojwang. But after the brutality clearly displayed by the police yesterday, don't you agree with me? One would tend to think that that must have been done by so-called officers, not civilians. In other words, just by the actions they're taking, serikali or sirikali inajistaki. It is reporting itself and telling the world, don't look anywhere else. It is us. It must be us, because we are behaving like this. That is exactly what it is. And it just doesn't make any sense. Although we know in this life, there are many times when the truth does not make any sense. We have to look at it a bit deeper. And many times the mystery is never solved. There are so many things that have happened in this world that to this day, some of them happened decades ago. To this day, they still don't make sense. People come up with theories, but nobody has concrete evidence so that it makes sense. We have to acknowledge that. Now, in the last few hours, there has been a bombshell. A game-changing bombshell. But before we go to it, I want to quickly acknowledge our partners, Lemifi. Now, many people who are regulars on this channel are in the diaspora. And regularly, they need to send money back home, especially now, when things are so difficult. And many of them are very much aware of the fact that when they use Lemifi, they are also supporting this channel. Okay? And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them very much. Okay? Now you can see details on your screens. On the very latest cashbacks, when you send money, you can see details of that on your screens right now. And please remember to use the code word Kumekucha. Yeah, it is in front of your screens. And that way, our partners will know where you came from. Yeah, and that is right here on this channel. Okay? By the way, regular users of Lemifi can benefit in another way. There is a lucky Lemifi draw promotion ongoing. If you use the service enough during this month of June, you will be entered into the lucky draw to win amazing prizes. I believe if you use the app to send as much as £1,200, you will be entered into this lucky draw. And so there is a very good chance of winning a prize. Go for it. Right. The bombshell is that the UK government is talking again. They have issued yet another statement expressing alarm at the developments over the demonstrations yesterday and wondering why there was so much police brutality, why the police responded like that to protesters who were not armed. Now, for older Kenyans, you will remember during the Moi era, when KANU arrogance was just about to fall, we went through something very similar to this. When Vasungu start issuing statement after statement, you need to know, kumedhuka. The people who supported Ruto, the people who made it possible for Ruto to be president, clearly now their position has changed. That should be very, very clear. Bottom line, and this should not be a secret, the end of the Ruto regime is not very far off. It is not. Now, very quickly before I go, I have this most sensitive special report I've ever produced, and that is no exaggeration, as those who have already taken it in will testify. And I have received a push to extend this offer a little longer. And therefore I urge you to grab this opportunity and act immediately. And not only get this highly sensitive special report that will blow your mind away, but then you'll also be able to get all the other previous special reports that I have produced. Now you can see details on your screens right now. Pony Kenya shillings 2,999. M-Pesa to that number you see on your screens right now. And please make sure you remember to text me your email address immediately after. You can also send me an email to that same email address for PayPal, telling me that you have made payment and therefore, Chris, fanya mambo, and I will act immediately. The clock is ticking, so please act fast. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.